It is May 26, 2017. This is the Watchman News, and I'm Mike Callahan. This report came out on RT today, and I will leave a link to the report down in the description as always, but it's quite concerning. So go to their page here. It says, nuclear nightmare worse than Fukushima could hit U.S. because of ignored risks, says study. The article goes on to say the U.S. has underestimated the risk to its nuclear safety as a single nuclear fuel fire could lead to fallout much greater than Fukushima, according to a new study. Researchers slammed the Nuclear Regulatory Commission for ignoring the potential danger. If spent fuel at one of the dozens of U.S. nuclear sites sets alight, it could dwarf the horrific consequences of the Fukushima accident in Japan, researchers from Princeton University and the Union of Concerned Scientists warned in their study published in the May 26th issue of Science magazine. Now, mind you, folks, we've got a serious issue going on at Hanford. We still haven't been told everything that we should know about the WIP storage facility. And let's not forget the landfill near St. Louis, that there is an underground fire that's currently burning closer and closer towards some stored nuclear material. So, you know, this is not just a possible thing. This is a likely scenario. Anyway, going on. The disaster would lead to trillion-dollar consequences as the hypothetical fire would result in contamination of an area larger than New Jersey and force mass relocations. The scientists simulated a nightmare scenario in their Nuclear Safety Regulation in the post-Fukushima era article. Supposing that an imagined fuel fire broke out at the Peach Bottom nuclear power plant in Pennsylvania at the beginning of 2015, and taking into account the weather conditions at the time, they showed the devastating extent of the potential contamination in the area. The accident would have led to the relocation of around 8 million people and would have cost $2 trillion in damages, according to Science Daily, citing the article. At first, it would mostly have affected a small part of Pennsylvania and Philadelphia, also touching on New York, Massachusetts, and Connecticut. However, within 3 months, almost all the East Coast from South Carolina to Maine would have become contaminated to a varying extent, the scientists said, with radiation going deeper into the land later on. The researchers say that this frightening scenario can be avoided if spent fuel is not housed in pools, which are used at almost all U.S. nuclear plants to store and cool used radioactive material. Instead, it would be safer to transfer it to dry storage casks after it's cooled in pools for around 5 years, they say. The Nuclear Regulatory Commission previously considered such measures but decided they would be too costly. Yeah, see, it would be too expensive to dispose of it safely. But we can risk everybody's life to save a buck, right? The NRC has been pressured by the nuclear industry directly and through Congress to lowball the potential consequences of a fire because of concerns that increased costs could result in shutting down more nuclear power plants. One of the authors of the study, Frank von Hippel, is quoted as saying by Science Daily, "Unfortunately, if there is no public outcry about this dangerous situation, the NRC will continue to bend to the industry's wishes." And folks, there has been public outcry about many different things when it comes to this stuff. And I know for a fact locally there's been a lot of outcry about the landfill near St. Louis. They have called on the agency to take action to reduce the potential danger by enhancing the monitoring of the pools and increasing water levels in case of a breakdown. If the NRC does not act, the researchers say Congress should step up. The NRC previously said the transfer of spent fuel, which could reduce the threat of radioactive releases by 99%, would require additional spending of $50 million per pool. An accident would result in $125 billion in damages, and radioactive contamination would go beyond 50 miles of the site, according to the NRC, in sharp contrast to the researchers' estimates. The NRC also said that the consequences would be dealt with within a year, while the Chernobyl and Fukushima accidents have shown much worse effects, with the areas still deserted. In far too many instances, the NRC has used flawed analysis to justify inaction, leaving millions of Americans at risk of a radiological release that could contaminate their homes and destroy their livelihoods, said Edwin Lyman, a senior scientist at the Union of Concerned Scientists and co-author of the article. It is time for the NRC to employ sound science and common sense policy judgments in its decision-making process, he said. NRC spokesperson Scott Burnell has promised to study the scientists' proposal and report it to agency commissioners, Science Daily reports. In early May, an emergency was declared at a nuclear waste site in Hanford, Washington, after a portion of a tunnel near the plutonium-uranium extraction plant collapsed. The same site leaked gallons of toxic waste last April, affecting a number of workers. Yeah, I'm not thinking it's such safe energy like they like to claim. So I agree there needs to be public outcry, but I don't even think that's going to make a difference because, anything that is going to cut into their profits is going to be stopped immediately. Look at how they treated the people at Standing Rock. Look how they treated those folks. That's just the way it is. We're just peasants. We're not allowed to live in a safe and secure environment. We have to live in a impoverished, oppressed environment. While they protect us from terrorism, while being the terrorists themselves. I don't know. I don't get it. But I don't get any of this other than the fact that it boils down to money. And when it comes to money, they don't care about us.